guys, it's Allie, and in today's video, I want to go over how I make my thumbnails. I posted something on my Instagram about a YouTube Q&A, and so many people were asking me about thumbnails that I thought it deserved its own separate video. So I'm going to be walking you through how I make my thumbnails, two versions, what I currently do with Photoshop, and then what I used to do using Canva. Canva is free, I used the free version. Photoshop costs money, but it is super useful, and there are a few things I can do on there that I can't do on Canva. Please don't copy my thumbnails exactly. You will find your own thumbnail style the more thumbnails you make, honestly, and my style is still evolving too. So don't take this video as I'm gonna make my thumbnail exactly like AllycatlovesAG's and I'm gonna copy her thumbnails exactly. This video is more just so you can see some editing tricks that I use, such as drop shadows or how to expand your backdrop, and then you can apply that to your own style of making thumbnails. Does that make sense? Good. Let's get into the video. So I only remembered that I should film my whole process after I did Lightroom, so here's a quick before and after of all of my edits. I don't really do anything fancy on Lightroom, but then I opened up my photo on Photoshop. So the ideal thumbnail dimensions will be on the screen right here, and I just went for a plain white background. So now I'm going to select the photo that I just edited in Lightroom and I'm going to drag it into my Photoshop document, whatever you call it. And then I'm just going to go to, and you can actually do this when you drop it in, but I kind of forgot to, but the edit button and then the free transform, and then you can just drag it to whatever size you like. The main thing here that I need to do is expand my backdrop because there is blue, and so I'm going to use the healing tool to start off, and then I have to do something called rasterizing my layer that allows me to kind of edit it. So if I want to do stuff like erasing or healing, here you can see it kind of messed up. I got Lainey's hair in it, but I'm just trying to use the healing tool, but sometimes it can be a little bit finicky, so then I have to use something called the clone tool. Here I am clicking the clone tool, and then you click the Alt button, and then that allows you to select something in the backdrop that you kind of want to clone. So then you can use that similarly to a healing tool. It will just paste, whatever that is, and try and make it look natural. But then sometimes it does get to a point where it starts to paste things that you don't want to be duplicated. So then I have to click undo and then reselect my source. And then I will alternate between doing the clone tool as well as the healing brush to make it look as smooth and realistic as possible. Keep in mind though, this is a thumbnail. Most people are not viewing it super close up, so if there are some small little editing mistakes with your cloning, you might use text to cover it up or a photo, but I don't think anyone is zooming in and examining your thumbnail that much. So I'm going to speed up the rest of this part. This is definitely the most tedious part of me making my thumbnails. So sometimes when you're cloning, you hit a bump in the road, this one spot, or with my healing brush more specifically, it does not want to go away no matter how many times I click it. So what I do in situations like this is I use something called the marquee tool. It is this little square at the top of your Photoshop toolbar. So you just drag it and then you click Command J to copy it and make it a new layer. So you have a new layer with just that little square. Then I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, my favorite button function, to cover the spot that would not heal. I will merge those two layers together. So you just hold the shift bar, click the second layer, and then you click merge layers. And then I like to go over that with the healing tool just so it all blends together really nice and easy. And now I'm just doing a little bit more cleaning up and healing. So all of my thumbnails have text on them, so it is time to add our text. You can find the text button on your toolbar and it will automatically create a new text layer. So you can see I accidentally made a new layer even though text will create a new layer. So it comes up here, normally whatever font you last used. So I'll start typing my text. This is a thumbnail for a style swap I'm doing with AG Primrose. So I wrote out Primrose Doll Studios and then enter style swap. You can also adjust things like line spacing, colors, fonts, all that stuff, and you can just play around with the toolbar at the top. It's super easy, and just experiment. It's Photoshop. You can do whatever you want. I like to center my text, and I always find centering things really tedious and annoying on Photoshop. So what I do is once I know I'm happy with my text, I will go to the layer and I will click the rasterize button, and then that kind of turns it into a photo rather than a text file, and then it will find the center and that little line will show up telling me that my text is centered, and then we're good to go. So even though you can read this text, there is still some white on white going on, so I want to make my text stand out. So I'm going to the FX button while having that text layer selected, going to drop shadow, and then just playing around. I use the dropper tool to pick a color in my image. That's how I get all my thumbnails to match really well. So you can play around with different features like the spread and things like that until you're happy with the drop shadow, and then you will just exit and you have a drop shadow on your text. So my thumbnail looked a bit plain, so I decided to search up Etsy, and I found this really cute photo of an Etsy logo in the shape of a heart, but it's not a PNG, so we have to make it a PNG file so we can get rid of that white background. So I will use the lasso tool to select my subject or whatever I want to stay, and then I will click Command J to create a new layer, so that's just everything I've selected, and then I will delete the old layer, and then the background is gone, just like that. And then of course, edit, free transform, and I will be moving this layer wherever I want it to go. So I wanted to show you guys a second way on how to make thumbnails, how I used to make them using a program called Canva. It is free, however there is a premium membership you can use, but I've survived for so many years using the free version, so that is what I'm going to be doing this tutorial on. But we're starting off in Lightroom. This is the desktop version, which I do pay for. I have a photography bundle, so I get Photoshop and Adobe on a monthly subscription. You can get a Lightroom app for free. It doesn't have every single feature, but it is one of the best iPhone free photo editing apps out there that I've used in my experience. So I'm pretty much just adjusting toggles. I don't do anything too crazy in Lightroom, so I'm not really going to go too in depth, and I'm just going to speed this up. Now that that's done, I saved the image and I'm on Canva, and I just imported the image onto Canva, and I am resizing this. Now I don't love resizing my images for my thumbnails, that's why I use the clone tool a lot in Photoshop, but there is no such thing on Canva, at least in the free tier, so I do unfortunately have to crop in the image a bit. Then I'm just going and adding some text. I was going to use the Canva drop shadow tool, but I decided not to. A lot of my Canva thumbnails I actually made by just duplicating a text layer, as you will see me do later. So I'm just gonna speed this up again because it's just me being super picky with my text. Now, one thing I love about Canva, and I still use it for this occasionally, is the graphics. A bunch of them are premium, but there are still some really cool free ones, such as this Etsy logo. So I did change it to orange to match my thumbnail, but I ended up not liking it. So after playing around with it for a little bit, I got rid of it, but I have used those Canva graphics in my thumbnails before. Here I'm just scrolling down through my previously uploaded media and pulling up my Etsy logo, which I did design using Canva, and then I'm just going under shapes and finding a plain circle frame and then just dragging this in here. This is another thing I like about Canva over Photoshop. I just find it a lot easier to use, but I like the tools and the options for being able to do a lot more in Photoshop. So one thing I like to do when trying to come up with thumbnail ideas is I will just search up the video I am making, so in this case Etsy Q&A, and I will look at what other people are doing for their thumbnails, kind of trends, what pops out at me, and then I will incorporate the elements I like into my thumbnail. Here's is another trick I've seen some YouTubers do. One day I just took a screenshot of my YouTube homepage, yes I love K-pop, and then I just took what I thought was my finished thumbnail, imported it in, and I just put it right over an existing thumbnail. And I was trying to look for if this popped out, would I click on this video next to a bunch of other videos, and I thought it was a little bit plain. So after some thinking, I decided to add in an Etsy logo just to make it even more obvious what this video is about. Unfortunately, you cannot create PNGs on Canva. I think you can export things as PNGs if you have premium, but as a regular Canva user, you cannot. There are free apps available to convert things to PNG files, but I just use Photoshop. That's another reason I bought it. So if you are doing this 100% for free and you want to use Canva, you will have to find a pre-existing PNG image. So I played around with everything a little bit more and then put that thumbnail back into my thumbnail tester, whatever you want to call it, and it popped out a lot more this time and I think I like it. And here's a before and after. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful, and hopefully these thumbnail tips apply whether you make AGTube videos or just any other type of content creation in YouTube. Let me know what you guys use to make your thumbnails. There are definitely pros and cons to both Photoshop and Canva. Both do take a bit of getting used to. I say definitely start off with Canva. It's what I use, and I find it super easy and user-friendly, and there's a bunch of things you can do for free. But then when you want to get into some more advanced stuff, creating PNGs, expanding your backdrop, then I would invest in Photoshop. I use it all the time for Instagram too, so it is definitely worth it for me. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. As always, have an amazing day, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye!